Welcome everyone to our third open art critique. My name is Daniel Folta with Evolve Artist. Evolve helps others learn how to paint realistically. Thank you all for your submissions. If you were not selected for this critique, that's okay. You can message me and I'd be happy to give you one privately. And for this critique, I have chosen this painting of two cats by Thien Huynh. I hope I pronounced his name right. Hopefully he'll forgive me for probably butchering it, but he has a wonderful painting here, and what's not to love? Two kittens holding each other. It's just so warm and fuzzy, and it was painted in a very warm and fuzzy way as well. As always, this critique will be reviewed through the Evolve method. So let's get into it. So as I'm looking at this painting and enjoying the different variations in color, appreciating the eyes and the ears, the little kitten feet, I'm also noticing that my eyes are really darting all over the place. And when I ask myself why, I realize that there is a lack of continuity in this painting. There's a lack of structure that's holding everything together. Sort of like a house that was built without strong supportive beams running through it. Not having a solid structure that makes the painting easy to comprehend and understand really breaks the illusion of three dimensions and realism. So I'm comparing the values in the shadows and I'm finding a lot of discrepancies between the painting and the reference, and this is part of what's breaking up this image. Having consistent values, having clear light and shadows in your painting is going to be that structure that we all need. So I'm going to go over the shadows with a neutral gray color, and that's going to unify both the value and the color of all of these shadows. And so you can see the difference right off the bat, how immediately this painting becomes a lot more easy to understand, and it already starts to begin turning more in the form and giving you that impression of three dimensions. So there are two takeaways from this. First is that all of your shadows should be darker than your lights. Yes, there are exceptions, but they are actually quite rare, and don't let your eyes fool you. The other thing is that shadows should always be relatively gray compared to your lights. What we see with our eyes is all light, and we see color through light rays. And so where there is light, there is more color. Where there is a lack of light, there is less color. Just making it more clear that those two things, lights and shadows, are separate using values and color is just going to reinforce, it's going to give you that structure, put those supportive beams throughout this painting and make it very easy to comprehend and understand. Because if it's not easy to comprehend and understand, then you're not making a solid argument for why this illusion of three dimensions should be true. And here's another example of how shadows and light gives consistency to your paintings. Just as I changed the colors for all of the shadows, they're staying unified and it's still maintaining a level of consistency through the piece. So that wraps up our critique. So remember that your shadows should be darker than your lights and they should be relatively gray compared to your lights. So Thien, you did a wonderful job on this. I'm really looking forward to seeing how you continue to incorporate your style while adding on these elements of light and shadow in your work. As for everyone else, if you have any questions or comments that you want to throw in here, if you're wondering what would Daniel have said about the edges if I had gotten to them in this video, feel free to talk about them and we can be happy to make this a conversation with all of you. And you can expect a new video to be posted soon for critique number 4. So thank you all for watching and have a wonderful weekend.